my name is Katie, and this is my apartment. I am a recent graduate of UC Berkeley, and this is where I have lived for the last year and a half while I finished my undergraduate degree in anthropology.
Excellent. Want to show me around?
Yeah, so this is the main living area. It is my living room. It has tons of space and beautiful windows, which I am super fond of. Let me take you guys on a quick tour around here because I am super sentimental and all of the objects in my house have like meaning behind them. So why don't we just go ahead and start with these bookshelves over here. So when you come in through the front door, there's that little foyer entrance, and you come in through here and you have my bookshelves. I call them bookshelves. I don't really keep a lot of books on here because it's mostly a place to display all of my knickknacks. I like to call myself a crow. I like to collect little things and put them on display. So everything that you see here has a story behind it, some kind of meaning given to me by a family member, or like this one is an old textbook from a community college. I have my dad's veterinary degree. I have my community college degrees down here. Of course, you can't forget the Fall Out Boy vinyls, and most importantly, if you've watched any of my vlogs over the summer, this is the moth that flew into my ear and got stuck while I was in the field doing archaeology. They let me keep it afterwards, after they pulled it out of my ear, so.
Oh my goodness.
What else? This here is the yarn that my friend actually spun for me, and she picked out the colors to like match my aesthetic. So it's blue and gold for Berkeley, and then the brown is for vintage. So I think that's amazing. I haven't used it yet because it means too much. And this is like my little station when I leave the house, my keys, my masks, my wallet, my sunglasses.
What are the bottles?
These are bottles that are supposed to be like little potions, like a love potion, snake oil. I got them at the Sacramento History Museum in Old Sac because I used to volunteer at that museum.
Oh, cool. And you've got the full Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Yeah, so this is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's the second edition because you can't buy the first edition anymore, but I found this one on eBay. Swing on over this way.
Yep.
So I love making these little vignettes in my apartment. I've been collecting old furniture and antiques and random paintings and photographs since I was like 14 years old. So everything you see in here I've had for a really long time. But this is my newest addition to the area. This is my National Transfer Student Ambassador Award from 2022, where I actually got to go to the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students annual conference and talk about my experience as a transfer student.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Down here we got a little antique table I found in Auburn, California, as well as a mirror. This is actually an old lithograph of a drawing of Berkeley when it was just North and South Hall. So,
oh my gosh.
I love that one. Another thing that you might see around the house are pennies everywhere. My family has a superstition about pennies. So I have pennies in the pockets of all of my pants and my skirts and in cups around the house. So if you see them, it's a superstition thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's come around this way. We have another vignette. This is actually a Tiffany lamp that my mother gave to me. It unfortunately no longer works and I have yet to get it fixed. And this is just a bunch of clothing storage. I have like my accessories as well as my field clothes in here from when I did archaeology. Okay, so this is like my living room area. This is where I actually sit down to like watch TV, eat food, hang out with friends. I don't have a lot of seating in this house, so we often end up sitting on the floor, but this is my little love seat. I found it on Craigslist for $200 and I had it reupholstered because it was like falling apart and it's super creaky. Wait, let me show you. Is it not gonna do it now? Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. It's super creaky because it's really old, but anyways. These I got at a random garage sale in Susanville when I was doing archaeology in Northern California. And then yet another little vignette over here. Those are the actual books. I took them out of the box. And yeah, just some cool old looking stuff. Most of it's not actually old though. And then this is like my coffee table. It's an old steamer trunk from somebody who went to the American Embassy in Indonesia, which I think is super, super cool. It also doubles as storage. It does open, and I keep like my memorabilia. It's like my memory chest, basically. And then the last little area of my living room is over here where the big ugly heater is. So I've kind of tried to cover it up with all my stuff, but I've got a little bit of a gallery wall going on. This mirror actually belongs to a 1920s vanity that's currently at my mom's house. The vanity didn't fit in the house, but I decided to steal the mirror anyways. My stacks and stacks of books, because like I said, I don't really keep my books on my bookshelves. I prefer to use them as decoration. It's like functional decoration. That's what I call it. You can also see the library books I still have to return. My favorite part of all of this is not the scales that I stole from James's grandmother, with permission. It's actually this guy, because this guy is a functioning globe that also opens up into a bar cart.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, this is my bar cart. So we have like a mini shaker, and we have some whiskeys. Those are for James. And then we also have the Catherine wine that we're saving for our wedding. Oh, yeah. So I actually saw somebody who had one of these in like a TikTok video, and their whole thing was like 60s, 70s aesthetic, and I was like, I have to have one. Lo and behold, someone was selling it on Craigslist near me for like 50 bucks.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
So where's your bed?
Ah, yes. I get this question a lot, because as you may notice, this is a studio apartment, and there's no bed in here. So if you come around this way, this is my closet, and I sleep in my closet. How do I want to start this? I'll show you the bed first. So if you come around here, and you look, this is the ugly side of the closet. This is where all my clothing storage is. And you see all my pillows and blankets are up here. That is because down here, that is my bed. I sleep on a Japanese floor futon, also known as a shikibuton. And this is a tatami mat that folds down like this. And then this is the futon that unrolls like that. And then I sleep down there. Like so. We're usually pointing the other direction. I was fully intending on buying like a twin mattress and putting it in here, but I knew it would block the drawers of my built-in dresser. So when my best friend said, I want to get a floor futon, and I was like, what is that? And she showed it to me. I was like, that's perfect, the solution. And so I decided to go with it, and I honestly love it. The other thing I like about the floor futon is that I can fold it up and put it away when I need to, but I can also drag it out into the living room for extra seating, or if I have a friend spend the night, so it's a great solution in my opinion. The actual pretty aesthetic part of my closet is my dresser. I have all like the little knickknacks that I've gathered over the years. This is something my mom gave me. I picked this up in Belize. It's the Mayan calendar, back when I wanted to be a Mesoamerican archaeologist. And then I have just like all these weird odds and ends that I've picked up over the years, and each one of them has a story, and I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but like they come again from family members, experiences with friends, things that James bought me on trips that I didn't get the chance to go on. This is my mom, this is all my jewelry, and then I also have like little bits and pieces of obsidian that I flaked off when I was making my own projectile points, jewelry for my grandmother, my perfumes. And then these are turkey feathers. We get wild turkeys in my home neighborhood in Davis, and they drop their feathers all the time, and I think they're pretty, so I like to collect them. One of my pride and joys is this was the cardboard box that the Fall Out Boy vinyl that my friend gave me came in, and she drew this all over it when I got into Berkeley, and I've had it on display in my closet ever since.
Oh.
So, but it's funny because she picked lyrics for my least favorite song on the vinyl, or on the record, so. And then over here we have just a little bit more storage, some cute little things. And then these are the books that I've been reading. And when I told James what books I had up here, he was like, yeah, that's a pretty good description of your personality. We have like high fantasy romance, Star Wars, and ethnography by Zora Neale Hurston.
Of course.
We love multifaceted academics. Okay, so that was my bedroom and my living room. Why don't we quickly check out the bathroom, and then I'll show you my study area and the kitchen. Okay, so we're back in the foyer, like entrance area, and the bathroom is to my right. It's gonna be a bit of a tight squeeze, but before we do that, real quick, I love this apartment because it has a lot of built-in storage. This is a cute little coat closet. It's super messy inside, but if you want to take a peek, I'm actually a really messy person. I just cleaned the apartment for this video. And then I'll just give you a quick overview of the bathroom. Like I said, it's super small, so it's a bit of tight squeeze. We've got the shower in the bathtub, the sink, and then around my door is where all the storage is. So the cool thing about this apartment, the thing that made me absolutely fall in love with it, is that it was built in the 1910s. So it has a lot of those details from like an older apartment. So we have like the cool molding around the doors, we have the frame windows, the hardwood floors, and if you saw in the bathroom that like little itty bitty mirror, and underneath it, it has one of those little like pull out drawer things where you like drop your razors in. Went back in the day when people shaved with safety razors. So there's just like little details like that around the entire apartment. It makes me super happy. So coming from the main living room area and through these French doors is like the dining and kitchen area. I usually just eat at my desk, so I put my desk in here, especially because it gets a lot of good lighting, and I have the option to close the French doors if somebody if my fiance is over and I need some privacy while I'm studying. My setup's not very fancy because when I moved in, I just grabbed the cheapest desk I could possibly find and never had the opportunity to find a new one. So I have a folding TV tray where I keep all my cables, a $50 IKEA desk, a cheap computer chair, and these plastic drawers I've had since I was like 13. But it does the job. This is my typical setup. I have an extra monitor for editing YouTube videos, and then my current pride and joy, which is my graduation gift from Kaylin and James, is my new laptop. And then I also have this wireless keyboard that I bought because it looks like an old typewriter and it makes the clicky clacky sounds. And then I have like a little vanity setup because I usually do my makeup here. Again, with a bunch of details, my badge from the NISTS conference. This is James and his family on his sister's wedding. This is a little bracelet of jade that I picked up in Belize, and then all of my little enamel pins that all have stories as well. And then the last thing that I have in here are these shelves that came with the apartment. This is where I keep like all my journals and the books that I reach for on a really regular basis while I'm sitting at my desk. This is all of my like arts and crafts supplies, my stationery supplies. This is my little tech shelf. And then up here we've got a little display of memorabilia that means a lot to me. My 2022 commencement, a teacup my sister-in-law gave me, concert tickets, yeah. And then if we go from the desk area and we turn around, this is actually, people have probably seen this a lot in my videos, it's the background of when I'm sitting at my desk, but this is my kitchen. Again, it's very tiny, it's a studio apartment, but it has everything that I need. So, full-size fridge, we've got like one of those super teeny tiny stoves. Just like the cool details, like these shelves are really old and I think they're cool. This is the sink, nothing special. But then we have these built-in drawers down here, these cabinets up here. We've got these shelves that go all the way up to the top of the ceiling. It's super messy in here. I have a lot of chips. I eat a lot of chips. I like crunchy foods. And then there's also this one that I use for storage. And then I think the last detail that I want to show you guys in here is this guy who keeps me company when I cook. His name is Fred. I picked him up when I was in the field doing archaeology this summer. He is a cow skull. And I asked the district archaeologist if I could take him, and he was like, if you can carry him out of the field for the rest of the day, sure. Turns out cow skulls are a lot heavier than you think they're gonna be. Okay, so out from the kitchen back into the main living area. That is basically the entire apartment. It's pretty small, but I feel like I've really packed a lot of stuff into here. And in my opinion, a lot of personality into such a small space. So yeah, that is my Berkeley apartment where I have spent the last 15 months of my life to finish my undergrad degree. I unfortunately am moving out in like just a couple of days and I'm very sad about it, but I'm so glad I finally got to film an apartment tour, and thank you to Kaylin, the redhead academic, for being my cameraman. Now we're gonna sit down and answer some of the frequently asked questions that I get about finding housing in Berkeley, especially as a transfer student, so why don't we go do that? All right, let's answer some questions about finding housing in Berkeley, especially as a transfer student.
So first and foremost, how much do you pay in rent?
I paid $17.50 for a studio apartment here. The $50 was pet rent when I had my dog, so otherwise it would be $1,700.
And do you think that that's pretty comparable to other types of housing here in Berkeley for a studio?
I think it really depends. It depends on what type of housing you're getting, where the housing is, who your landlord is. There's a lot of variability.
What would you say is the typical range for a studio in Berkeley?
I think the typical range is between $1,700 to $1,900 for a studio, although it is a little bit more expensive right now because we are kind of coming out of the pandemic and more people are moving back to Berkeley.
And especially coming in as a transfer student, did you have guaranteed housing through Berkeley? Why did you decide to go with a private renter?
So one of the things that I know turns off a lot of transfer students from Berkeley is that they do not guarantee housing for transfer students. That doesn't mean that you can't get university housing. If you apply for the dorms or you apply for the university apartments, you're very, very likely to get housing through that program. If you're worried about getting into the dorms or you're worried about the cost of the dorms, there's also the Berkeley Cooperatives, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's cooperative housing, which is either like dorm room style or apartment style, and it's reduced rent in exchange for services. So you sign up for weekly shifts like taking out the garbage or cooking or cleaning or tending to the garden, basically providing the services that you'd otherwise be paying for in a dorm room. I personally decided to go with a private apartment because I moved here during the pandemic and I'd originally been offered a space in the cooperatives and I just wasn't comfortable living with 150 other people during a pandemic.
That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
And how did you find this apartment? And where would you recommend that students looking to move to Berkeley should look for housing?
I found this apartment on Craigslist after searching for weeks and months for a good apartment that wasn't a scam, that was in my budget. And I also looked at a ton of different apartments in Berkeley. I think I got really, really lucky with this place because people weren't moving to Berkeley, so I kind of had my pick of apartments because there's more housing available than usual. So I looked at apartments that were much further away from campus, that were a lot smaller, that were a lot more expensive. This ended up being the suite, kind of like the suite space, because it's a good 10 to 15 minute walk from campus, which is absolutely doable, but that also means that it's nice and quiet, and it was exactly within my budget range. But if you're looking for apartments now, I would really recommend either going through the university apartments if you can afford it, signing up for the cooperatives, looking on Craigslist. Just be sure to use like common sense and safety so that you're not getting scammed. And then also looking on Facebook groups like the UC Berkeley Housing Facebook group. I know there's one, I just don't remember the title, but I'll leave a link for it in the description below.
And is there parking available?
In this apartment, there is no parking available. However, a lot of the apartment buildings in my neighborhood do have parking spaces or parking garages attached to them. However, I do know that like a lot of my neighbors, when they moved here, they registered their car with the city of Berkeley so they could get a residential parking permit.
Excellent. And for those that are looking to move to Berkeley, what's one piece of advice that you wish that you had had before moving here?
If you're moving in the fall, the second you know that you're going to be going to Berkeley, like you've submitted your intent to register, start looking for housing immediately because it goes really fast, and the closer you get to the start of school, the more expensive leases are going to be.
Absolutely. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for answering those questions.
Yeah, of course. Alright, so I think that just about wraps up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to follow along for my graduate school adventures in New York City, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone!